Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
#1 national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Gun Talk, available on iTunes and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for Android and iPhone. To be on the air with Tom, call us now, 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
Welcome back to Gun Talk. I am Tom Gresham. It's called Gun Talk because, what do you think? I mean, we talk about guns, pistols, rifles, shotguns. Speaking of shotguns, if you were going to buy a new shotgun for hunting, wing shooting, what would you buy? What gauge would you buy? Would you always go with the 12 gauge? Or would you go with a smaller gauge? If you're just going to hunt doves, would it be a smaller gauge? Quail, smaller gauge? Or you just go to pheasants? Is a 20 gauge enough for pheasants? Got a lot of hunting seasons coming up. I do love wing shooting, really do. It's too bloody hot to go out to the Sporting Clays range right now. It's just too hot. It's 80 degrees and 147% humidity when we wake up in the morning around here. But give me maybe 3 months. It stays hot a long time down here in Bayou Country. If you'd like to join us on the air, 866-TALK-GUN. We're going to be doing this week our video work. I want to say filming, but we don't film. And I want to say taping, but we don't tape. We record video. It's digital now, everything is. For the First Person Defender Show, you know, the outstanding cool show we do where we take people and put them into self-defense situations using simunitions, and we kidnap them and we rob them and we beat them with pipes, rubber pipes. And we carjack them and we do home invasions and we try to steal their babies and we do all kinds of stuff and we see what they do. We rob stores while they're in there. They walk up on somebody attacking somebody else, a third party. Do you get involved? If you do, how do you do it? What we find is that if you don't have much training or if you don't have any training, there's no telling what you're going to do. But the more training you have, the more you've been put into those situations, you go, oh, I know what to do here. Been there. You know. And sometimes, here's the cool part, sometimes the best way to win is to turn around and leave. If you haven't seen First Person Defender, I think you are in for a treat. Everybody seems to love it. If you go to our YouTube channel, just look for Gun Talk. You can find it there. Also, we have it available on our Roku channel and on, Amazon Fire. Oh, let's see. Yep. Have them on those. So that'll work. I'll let you know when we roll them out on Apple, not iTunes. It's, Apple TV. That's coming too. But it's called First Person Defender. If you search on YouTube, you'll see. That's what we're going to be doing this week, put more people through that. Speaking of self-defense, et cetera, line 1, Bob, San Antonio, Texas, with a range report. Hey, Bob, what'd you take out there and shoot?
Well, I've just recently discovered that I can indeed shoot a snubby. I didn't think I could. Yes. I followed your advice. You'd been talking about LCRs, and I gave it a try, and OMG, that's a very nice trigger. And
it really is. The Ruger LCR is
I could shoot a small gun.
Yeah, the LCR, the Ruger compact revolver. Now, yours is in .357 Magnum?
Correct, but I'll probably never shoot .357 in it. I've been shooting plus P and regular 38.
That's fine. Now, tell me about the laser.
I put a green crimson trace on it, and the first time I got to try that, I was running really late, and I got out there just at dusk. And when I finally got to get the targets posted and everything, and drew, I couldn't see the target. I could see the target, but I couldn't see the sights. And I turned on the laser and fired off 5 and went down and looked, and they were in a little cluster at 7 yards at maybe 2 inches. And I never saw the sights when I shot it.
Uh-huh. Had you ever shot a revolver that well?
Yeah, with sights. I've reached a point in my life when I can't see the sights if I'm wearing my glasses. I have to go with just a pair of shooting glasses to see the sights now.
Right. And the sights get fuzzy. And now all you have to do is look at the target, and there's the laser and do the thing. It's amazing, isn't it?
And I sighted in the laser before I went, and, they had instructions for that in a little tool. It was a piece of cake to do, and it seems to work. And I signed up for the free batteries, too.
Oh, yeah, free batteries for life. That's a pretty cool deal. Okay, here's the deal. I want you to do this thing because you're in for a lot of fun. When you go back, and the green laser will work during the daytime. Is this an indoor or an outdoor range, isn't it?
This is an outdoor range. And the green laser also is, the reason I got it is for daytime.
Okay. I want you to back the target off to 15 yards and then even 25 yards if you have the room, and see if you can see the laser. And here's the thing. Normally, we wouldn't think about shooting a snubby at 25 yards, but put the laser on there. You can just hold it up there and just work on your trigger press and good trigger press and see what happens. You're going to find that you have doubled or tripled the effective range of that pistol by putting the laser on there.
Sweet. I'll try it.
I know. And when you do that, give me a holler back, okay?
Thank you. Yes, I will. Oh, one last thing. Thanks to you, I'm no longer carrying a gun. I'm often carrying 2.
There you go. As we say, 1 is none, 2 is 1. You never know what's going to happen out there. I appreciate that. All right, quick break here. When we come back, let's talk about what just happened out in Massachusetts. It is incredible, audacious usurpation of power and a stealing of rights. One person says, I think I want to ban all of those. And she does. We're talking with Jim Wallace from the Gun Owners Action League in Massachusetts. Don't go far. You want to hear about this one? It'll make you mad, I guarantee you.
At Double Tap Ammunition, we hand inspect every round that we make, and we use only the best components to give you the best ammunition on the market. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or gundealio.com.
Accurate, powerful, consistent. At Double Tap Ammunition, we offer 364 loads in 83 calibers that give you exactly what you've been looking for. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
righty, back with the 866 Talk Gun gets you in there. Yeah, this thing had just happened in Massachusetts about a week or so ago. Unbelievable. For those who keep saying, well, Clinton can't do anything by herself. It's like saying Obama can't do anything by himself, except that they just announced that if you're a gunsmith, now you have to get a $2,200 license to be a gun manufacturer if you've even threaded a barrel. Same thing is happening out in various states. In Massachusetts, I'm still mad about this. Let me get Jim Wallace in here from the Gun Owners Action League, maybe the oldest state gun rights organization in the country. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Tom. How you doing? Thanks for having me on. Sorry I didn't catch you early. I was busy trying to tunnel out of the country.
Well, okay. For those that don't know, it's hard for me to explain this. What just happened with this Attorney General?
Well, last Wednesday morning. First let me back up a bit. Unfortunately, in Massachusetts, even though the federal assault weapons ban that expired in 2004, Massachusetts actually adopted their own in 1998, and it did not expire, unfortunately. So we're still stuck with what people faced on the federal level. We're still stuck with that on the state level. Now,
and let me jump in.
And under the federal ban, Tom, as you know,
right,
and under the state ban, everybody understood what you could not and could buy or manufacture and sell. Everybody, the ATF knew about it, manufacturers knew about it, customers knew, understood. Everybody understood the rules, and unfortunately, we've had to live under those rules here. Well, it's not last Wednesday. It's July 20th, out of nowhere, and everybody tells us they had no idea this was coming. We did find out that the government knew, but that's okay. She holds a press conference. Our Attorney General, Martha Healy, holds a press conference and didn't create a new regulation. Of course, she doesn't have the power to change law. She issues a press release in a legal opinion saying that she's basically reinterpreting the term assault weapon in Massachusetts. Now, what she told the press was, no, this is nothing new. We're just now going to start enforcing it. Which, what she did was she issued this broad definition, brand new definition, of any assault weapon would include virtually every semi-automatic gun that exists, because she came up with these so-called similarity tests and function tests. That if a gun looks similar, acts similar, functions similar, the trigger mechanism might be similar. Another one was interchangeable parts. So virtually overnight, she created, and because this goes back to 1998, she virtually creates hundreds of thousands of what we now call felons in waiting. Because violation of this law is not a joke. Your first offense is 10 years.
But that's not what the law says.
What's that?
That's not what the law says, right?
Well, what she's doing is taking these two little words in the assault weapons law that they took from the federal government that says copies and duplicates. She's reinterpreting those two words to mean virtually anything that works the same, looks the same, acts the same, as one of the listed assault weapons that used to, remember the list in the old federal law, AK-47, AR-15, Dealio, whatever. So anything that fits the similarity or function test of any of those guns in Massachusetts is now considered to be an assault weapon. And what I've told people that aren't in the gun world, Tom, and they get this when you explain it to them this way, is that for many years, the government, mostly the federal government, has worked with the auto industry. And they said, listen, we're really concerned about whatever, crashes, you name it. So we don't want cars to have certain things. We want cars to have certain things. And the industry has said forever, okay, yep, we got you. We know exactly what you want. We'll start making those cars tomorrow. They start making the cars. They start selling the cars. People start buying the cars, and in Massachusetts, unfortunately, we have to register guns. So people start registering those cars through the government. And then 22 years later, a rogue AG wakes up and says, no, we meant to ban all cars. You guys are trying to get around the laws. I'm going to start reinterpreting it and enforcing it my way. That's what just happened to us.
Okay, let me see if I can explain to people, because you're so close to this, Jim. The manufacturers, gun manufacturers, have been making guns which are Massachusetts compliant for a long time. In other words, okay, we took off the flash suppressor. We did this. All these things that you said we were required to do to make a gun legal to sell in Massachusetts, we've done. Okay. Yep. So the government said, okay, yep, you're right. You guys are in compliance. And they said, yes, the citizens of Massachusetts can buy these guns, can own these guns. It's all good. And then 2 weeks ago, this lady comes along and says, wait a minute. All of that, everything you've been told up to this point is wrong. And we're going to, as of midnight tonight, stop the sale of these guns. Oh, yeah, and I love this part where she says, we're not going to take them away from the people who bought them because they thought they were buying them legally. Didn't you love that part?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that she promised, not to prosecute anybody that bought anything prior to that certain date, which was July 20th. But that's only a promise. There's nothing in law that protects us. And actually what happened was, what people should know is that because of the laws we have here in the state, and I'm trying to use good language, Tom, so appreciate that, that every single transaction of one of these types of guns since the federal law started in 1994 has been done individual, whether it's through a retailer, whether it's individually, because we have to do that here, whether it's at a gun show, because they have to do that there in Massachusetts. Every transaction has been approved by the Executive Office of Public Safety, the Firearms Record Bureau. They have to be. If they're not, they're denied by them, and then you have to deal with, almost like doing a NICS check that's denied kind of thing. So,
okay, so let me jump in here. So every time one of these guns has been purchased in Massachusetts, the state government has said, yes, that's okay, you can do that.
Correct. Absolutely. So now here's the insidious part, Tom. If the rest of this wasn't bad enough. Hundreds of thousands of families and family businesses were now just deemed to be what we call felons in waiting, and I'm among them. Your first offense is 10 years. Your second offense is another 15 years. So all of these family businesses that own retail shops, probably sold thousands of these things over the last 22 years. How about all of the people that have bought guns thinking they were perfectly legal, actually knowing they were perfectly legal, and, might have bought half a dozen, traded it back, whatever. We've had people, of course, the phone at Gold Tom's been ringing off the hook. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? People
so what do you do?
Jim, should I get rid of my gun? I'm scared to death. I'll turn it into the state police. And we say, no, don't, because it doesn't matter. You've already committed the felony, according to her. And even
getting rid of it
she
won't
has
change
promised not to prosecute, doesn't mean somebody else won't.
Well, I am reminded of 40 years ago, D.C. City Councilman John Wilson, after they said, look, we're going to require everybody in D.C. to register their guns, but of course we're never going to take them away. We have no intention of taking them away. 10 years later, John Wilson comes along and says, okay, now that we know where all of them are, we're going to require you to turn them in. And he was asked, he said, but when the law was passed 10 years ago, people were told that there was never going to be an effort to take them away. He said, I never promised anybody anything.
Right. And
so the next person who comes along.
The police chiefs have the final say on your gun license. If you have a rogue chief, they could easily look in your records and say, hey, Tom, we see here 5 years ago you bought 2 of these guns that she has now declared assault weapons. She promised not to prosecute you, but tell you what, you give up your license and your guns, and maybe we will prosecute you.
All your guns.
Something simple that you run afoul of a stupid misdemeanor, and your attorney says, Jim, come on, I can get rid of that tomorrow. And then you get a rogue DA, district attorney, who says, we looked in your records. Your client has a gun license, and he bought one of these guns 10 years ago. Well, if you really want to fight that misdemeanor, he's got a 10-year felony hanging over his head. So that's how insidious this thing is now, because
so what do we do now?
Are sitting here waiting for the shoe to drop.
What do we do now?
Well, unfortunately, the legislature just caved in this past weekend. We had tried to work with a bunch of them, and about 100 of them signed different letters of concern. But that's a letter of concern, and the judiciary chair was looking for a ton of information about her supposed authority, how she did this. The chair of public safety, and by the way, these are Democrats as well, signed letters. So we actually had legislation that would have taken her authority away to do this, because she's obviously abusing it. Unfortunately, what we were told, even though they'd never say this on the record, was that she's a rising star in the Democratic Party, and the Democrat leadership would never do that to a rising star. So,
okay, sounds like, and of course, and that leads us to the whole deal of, well, then what do? You sue. Well, then, of course, the Democrats have been stacking the courts, the lowercase courts, as well as and they want to stack the Supreme Court. So that's where you get back to, and I always take it back to, this election is for all the marbles this time, because the next president will be appointing and nominating lower court judges, which are going to hear cases like this. Jim, I'm going to have to run, but let's give out the GOAL website and tell people how they get involved.
Sure, it's actually www.goal.org, and we have a whole page up there about what's going on, events we got coming up. On the 15th, we're actually going to hold an indoor rally/fundraiser, get in some national leaders to talk to our folks, because we're going to have to raise some money quick, because this is going to be a long-drawn battle. And I think her mistake was thinking she was going to put us under her thumb and we were going to walk away. But I will give her this, Tom. She single-handedly woke up the gun owners for this election.
Well, maybe that'll be enough to move Massachusetts. Who knows? But, Jim, I appreciate it. Jim Wallace from Gold. It's GOAL, gold.org. Guns that were legal, and everybody knew they were legal, and everybody was buying them, and the state was saying they're okay. One person, the Attorney General, says, no, that's actually wrong, and everybody that bought them up to this point was breaking the law. Everybody that sold them was breaking the law. We're not going to prosecute you now. Maybe. Kind of. Take my word for it. Honestly. I'll never do that to you. Right.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All righty, back with you. 866 Talk Gun. Get you in here. We've been giving away stuff. We were having some fun. We've had some very interesting calls. Now it's time for you and me. We're going to yak about your guns, the things you're buying, the things you're thinking about buying, get your range reports on what you took to the range, what you are loving. God, there are so many great guns out there today. It is amazing. Let's see. Let's go to line 3. Tom is with us out of Billings, Montana. Hey, Tom, you're on Gun Talk.
Hi, Tom. I wanted to echo what you were saying about a stiff gun belt. I carry a double-stack Rock Island 5-inch, a pretty hefty chunk of metal there.
Yeah.
And I put it in a Galco double duty. Outside the waistband, it was not so good, but I configured it for inside the waistband. That improved it quite a little, but then when I bought a belt with a layer of steel in it, it's like a night and day difference. Man, I'd actually say it's comfortable as well as comforting.
It really is. And the idea, and I know that you said that it's not not the one from gunbelts.com. It's a different brand, but it's still the same concept of getting a good belt that is stiff enough that doesn't roll. And it really, and people always say, well, my gun's too heavy, it's uncomfortable. But in your experience, and Tom, that's a big, heavy gun you're talking about carrying there. It really is comfortable now. Yeah,
it actually is. I wear my pants down on my hips because I got more belly than a man ought to have. But in order to help keep things up a little bit, I've gone to wearing a pair of suspenders that clamp onto the belt itself, and that helps a heck of a lot. It just works out very well.
So you would agree that it's the system, it's the whole, get a good holster, but you also have to have a good belt. And I want to tell people, when I say a good belt, I'm talking about a gun belt, not something you can go in the store and say, well, that's a nice thick belt. That's not good enough, is it, Tom?
Walmart does not sell gun belts.
Excellent. That's pretty much it. That is perfect. Walmart does not sell gun belts, and neither does any other department store you're going to go into. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. I want to get Jeff in here on line 4 out of Georgia. Hey, Jeff, you're remembering a little bit of history, aren't you?
That's right. Can you hear me?
I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. Charles Whitman, the anniversary of the Texas Tower in Austin, Texas. The anniversary is coming up on that, and they're going to make a big to-do about that because that was the first mass killing in the U.S. With somebody with a rifle. He killed 14 people and wounded another 30. And if it hadn't been a radio station and the local ranchers in that area, he would have killed a lot more than that. But the radio station, they didn't have SWAT teams in those days, and the radio station was telling about it and telling everybody to stay away. But all the ranchers out there in Texas carrying rifles, shooting coyotes and that sort of stuff, and so they had rifles in their trucks, and so they went down there and kept him pinned down. He was there every time he'd stick his head up. They were just a whole mass of bullets coming up at him, ricocheting off the tower, and they kept him pinned down until the police got there and went up the tower. They had to go up the stairs and get up there and shoot him. One of them shot him with a pistol, another shot him with a shotgun.
But here's the thing. It was one police officer and one citizen who wasn't a police officer who went up there and shot him. So it was the citizens on the ground shooting at him, keeping his head down, good guys with guns. And there was a cop and another citizen who wasn't a police officer who went up there and ended up shooting him up there. Once again, maybe the first mass murderer that we even talk about, who was stopped by a good guy with a gun. It's an excellent point, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Jeff. We all need to remember that one. And as they're talking about this anniversary of this, it'll be interesting to see if that gets any play, because right now the media really likes to make fun of the idea of a good guy with a gun stopping crime, and yet it happens hundreds, not dozens, hundreds of times a day in the United States. Good people with guns stop crime hundreds of times a day, and the media pretends it doesn't happen. Line 2, Tommy's with us, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Hey, Tommy.
Yes, sir. I want to talk about the Browning 380 1911.
Tell me about it.
Yes, my wife's favorite gun that we got her. We made the mistake originally buying her a Smith & Wesson J-frame 38 Special. She shot it at a range, and she really liked it, as far as not being able to think about much and just pull the trigger and it would go bang. But she didn't like going to the range much with it and shooting it, which, to be honest with you, I didn't either.
Right.
So now, and she shot my other pistols, 1911, a little 380 Bodyguard, the other 9mm, and she couldn't operate the slide and everything, but this 380 has really opened her eyes to going to the range and actually enjoying shooting her.
Exactly. You get a relatively largish 380, and it becomes fun to shoot. It is just amazing. I appreciate that. Hey, Steve, don't go anywhere. I know what you're thinking, but I want your range report on the Browning 1911 380 also. A lot of people talking about that gun. If you have a gun that you like, that you've taken out, but maybe a gun that you let somebody else shoot and they just said, man, that is fun, by all means, give us a holler. We'd like to hear about that. 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be right back.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to SpringfieldArmory.com. That's SpringfieldArmory.com.
If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Doris Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Doris Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Doris Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Doris Guns. DorisGuns.com.
You're at a gun store and your phone tells you about hot deals. Want to know about special offers? No problem when you have Dealio, the free app for your smartphone. Dealio delivers the latest deals on guns, ammo, and extras direct to your phone. Don't overpay for your shooting gear. Get Dealio. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. Trigger the deals with Dealio. Dealio.com.
You spent the entire morning in a blind, waiting for your shot. Then, missed it and spooked all the big game for miles. Every hunter dreams about the one that got away, and at SilencerShop.com, we make dreams come true. Shooting suppressed means there's no big bang, no violent recoil, and no watching your prize get away because you couldn't get off a follow-up shot. Want a trophy mount on your wall? Put a can on your rifle from SilencerShop.com. Making the world a quieter place.
When it's all on the line, you can count on Trijicon Optics. Earning its reputation in combat and on hunts in all corners of the world, Trijicon comes through. The new AccuPower rifle scopes feature battery-powered illuminated reticles, variable power, adjustable brightness, plus they're waterproof. The years of waiting, the dollars spent, your hunt of a lifetime comes down to a single moment. Get Trijicon quality. Trijicon.com. Trijicon.com.
Hi, back with you. I just got an email from a fellow that says, hey, take a look at this. He sends me an attachment. It's a survey that was handed out to kids in Kansas. He said this is happening all over the country. And the parents don't even know that kids in school are being asked these questions. And it's all sorts of very invasive questions. If you have kids in school, you need to talk with them about this and say, look, here's the deal. If it's not a school test, you don't take it. If it's somebody asking you questions about your family, you don't answer them. If somebody says, well, this, everybody's doing this, what's the problem? It's just a survey. There's no right or wrong answers. Our family policy is we don't do that. You're not entitled to know that. I will take a test that is for school, if it's schoolwork, but if it's a survey and you're asking those any kind of questions like that, I will not take that. And your kids have to be raised strong enough to be able to look at a teacher, which is hard for a lot of kids, and say, I'm not allowed to do that. You'll have to call my parents. And that's the thing, is you can always give your kids the power by putting it off on you and say, look, just put it on us. Say, look, my parents don't let me do that. If you have a problem with that, you need to call my parents, but I'm not allowed to to fill out a form like that. And just give them the power to get out of it by telling the teacher to call you if you don't think your child. And it's very difficult for a child to tell an authority figure, no, I won't do that. That's wrong. You don't have the right to ask that. In other words, that's none of your business. Now, that's something that you could tell the teacher or the administrator or the principal. But you need to have this conversation with your child, and it has to happen 100 times. Not one conversation, but a weekly conversation. That's not the kind of thing we do. We don't take part in those kinds of things. That's government out of control. That is people asking for information that they don't have a right to know. And trust me, once they do a survey like that, how do you feel about your mother? Are you included in family decisions? On and on and on. All that's going into a database somewhere. Trust me on this one. Wow, man. Let's see. Line 4, Art's with us out of Brownwood, Texas. Hey, Art.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Real good. What's up?
I don't know why anybody should be surprised about those surveys. They've been doing them for years. Anyway, what I called about was you were talking about the redefining of gun manufacturing and stuff. This is not surprising. We can find them doing this going back decades. We used to have in this country what was called the right to travel. But because they were able to redefine words such as traffic, automobile, passenger, by redefining words like this, they were able to bring people under commerce and convince them to give up or waive their right to travel in exchange for the privilege of driving, and thereby engaging in commerce, which is regulated under Section 8 of the Constitution. This is how they do it. So this
sure.
whole thing
No. Hey, Art, take a breath, Art. It's okay. I'm on your side. This is how they basically exactly right. Well, we have two great examples of that. We have the executive order that just came out of the White House that is a redefinition of what it means to be in the business of manufacturing firearms. So if you thread a barrel or you rechamber a rifle, all of a sudden you're a gun manufacturer. No law was passed. Nobody voted on it. They just changed the definition. And then we have 2 weeks before in Massachusetts, we have the Attorney General saying, I am reinterpreting what an assault weapon is. And all of those things that we told you up until today were perfectly legal. Now I'm saying that you bought all of those. You committed a felony when you bought them over the last 20 years. And look, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm not going to prosecute you guys. I'm just going to cut off the sale of them. But of course, it leaves everybody sitting there as they say, a potential felon, a felon in waiting, just waiting for the right or the wrong DA, prosecutor, sheriff to come along. And Art, look, I appreciate your call. You're exactly right. This is how it's done. If you can't get it passed, if you are working against the will of the people, but you still want to change things and you can't get the legislature to pass it and you can't get Congress to pass it, you just say, this is the way it is. We're just going to do it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And that's what happens when the ATF redefines a term, or when the State Department redefines a term, or when Customs does it, or Border Patrol does it, or, as Art says, when they redefine it and say this all falls under interstate commerce and we can regulate interstate commerce. It's like when I heard the Department of Justice attorney say, even if a gun is made in the state, never leaves the state, it still falls under interstate commerce. And the judges said, why is that? He says, well, because the raw materials move to interstate commerce. So once anything involved with it moves in interstate commerce, we've got it, we can control it, we can do what we want to do with it. Wow. That's where we are. Line 1, Steve, Chandler, Oklahoma. You have a range report. I love this. 2 in the same day. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Tom, I'm a little late on this. My wife bought this little gun at Christmas time, and I finally got around to shooting it. It's the Browning 1911 380. It's 85% the size of a regular 1911. So it's smaller, but it's dead on accurate. At 15 yards, I'm just a tad bit under the bullseye, and she's right in it. I mean, she shoots it perfect.
And it feels great, doesn't it? It just feels great.
Yes, sir, it does. She's had a broke wrist in the past. So her right wrist is a little bit weak, and she's had other 380s, she's had 38s. But this thing, she can hold it still. It doesn't have any rise.
Well, and that's what people love about it. It has almost no recoil. And the other thing is, here's the other thing. It's easy to work the slide. People who have trouble working slides on other pistols, they can work the slide on this one. No wonder that thing is just running off the shelves. I've got the 866 Talk Gun. Yeah. While the Democrats are having their convention, Barack Obama issues an executive order, and we get more gun control out of it. We're going to burden all gunsmiths. Any gunsmith who does basically any kind of cutting on a gun, talk about threading a barrel, rechambering anything, actually basically just truing up an action, like you did an action job on it. Now that's not gunsmithing anymore, according to the White House, with the force of law. That's now manufacturing. That's making a gun. And you have to get a $2,250 license per year, plus a lot of other paperwork, because, of course, even if you're not going to export the guns, this falls under the export license. It's called ITAR, International Trade and Arms Regulation, I believe it is. Yeah, for those who say, oh, they can't do anything without Congress. Yes, they can, and they do. They redefine terms. They make up new regulations. They say, well, gunsmithing is not gunsmithing. Gunsmithing is manufacturing. It's Alice in Wonderland. It's upside down. 99 days. That's it. 99 days until the election. It's really simple. Only 2 people are in the running. Everybody else is a distraction. 2 people. Hillary Clinton openly says she wants to ban guns. Donald Trump says he's going to support the Second Amendment. Whether either of them is all the way, I think one is better than the other. 99 days. Make up your mind. Simple as that. Make up your mind. Frank, line 3 in Arkansas. What you looking at here, Frank?
Well, I got a wish list for 3 new items. 2 of them are rifles, and one is a pistol. And the pistol is Rock Island 22 TCM/9mm. I was wondering if you ever shot one, or if you heard any range reports on them.
I have shot them. It's different. It's a 22 TCM. You're necking down, basically it's a 223 shortened and neck down, and you're getting about, if I want to say it's like 2,800 feet per second out of a 40-grain bullet. I mean, it's a smoking that son of a loud. Oh, my God, that thing's loud. I guess the question is, what are you thinking? What do you want to do with it?
Well, for one, I like the 1911 platform, and that it's convertible in that. And I got the option of punching out there further, or for varmint use in that maybe, because that's what I've been seeing reports on. And then also having the availability of having a 1911 and a 9mm caliber. And that,
here's what I would say, Frank. You've looked into it enough, and you've figured out what you want. Go buy the gun, man. Just buy it. The thing is, there's always an exit clause in all these. You could always sell a gun if you don't decide later on you don't like it. But right now, you're interested. The only way to scratch that itch is to go buy it, get some ammo, take it out, and shoot it for a while. This is not a gun where you're going to say, I'm ambivalent. You're not going to be, I don't know. You're either going to go, wow, this is so cool, I love it. Or you're going to go, oh, man, I can't believe I bought this thing. In which case, that's when you exercise the exit clause, which is you put it up for sale. You let somebody else scratch their itch with it. Hey, Tony, Bob, don't go anywhere. We're going to get you into the after show. If you'd like to join us, we'll absolutely carry you into the after show. If you haven't heard it, then you can check it out on your Gun Dealio smartphone app, which is free. Just get it on your iPhone or Android, Gun Dealio. And not only do you get deals, but you can listen to the after show. In the meantime, take somebody out shooting this week. Have some fun. Be safe. Watch your 6. And always, always carry.